Hey guys, what's up? It's Dragoon here, and welcome to episode 7 of the Anime Corner. So in the last episode, I mentioned to you guys that the first episode of the Durarara2 English dub is going to be premiering this Tuesday, and well, it's Tuesday now. So I watched the first episode of the dub just a few minutes ago, and I think it was just posted not that long ago. And so I'm going to bring you guys my first impressions on the dub, like I mentioned I would do in the last video. So what did I think of the dub? Well, I didn't think it was bad. It's funny because last time I mentioned that, you know, I preferred the English dub of the original Durarara to what I was watching in the Japanese version of Durarara2. And 9 episodes in, so 9 weeks into Durarara2, I very much clearly to myself have gotten used to the voices I'm hearing now. The Japanese version is fine. I haven't noticed anything wrong with it, and so I've gotten used to it. So when I'm watching the dub now, minus a few things, there were a couple things that felt a little awkward at first, simply because I wasn't used to it like I was in the past. So I wrote down all my first impressions. I have them sitting on a note card over here, and so I'm just going to go into those. So starting things off, Izaya, because Izaya and Shizuo were, well, aka Johnny Young Bosch and Crispin Freeman, were in the initial reveal trailer that the show was coming. So starting off with those two, Izaya has a decent amount of lines in the first episode, nothing too crazy, but I will say that Johnny Young Bosch as Izaya is just as good as it was before. If you didn't like him before, you probably aren't going to like him as Izaya now. I thought he was fine as Izaya in the past, and I think he nails Izaya's personality perfectly fine. Like I said, he doesn't have a ton of lines in the first episode, but it's Izaya. You know what he's like already if you've seen the first anime. I don't think you really need to hear him too much because he's not that different of a person from Durarara 1 to Durarara 2, so I think he's just going to be completely fine. As far as Shizuo goes, well, I think he spoke once, and he said like 2 words, so I really can't comment on Crispin Freeman's Shizuo. And the thing is, you can't necessarily always assume that an actor is going to be able to reprise the role in the exact way that he or she did it X amount of years ago, because an actor, and especially a voice actor, their voice and their perception of the character may change. I know, and a lot of times, voice actors will come back to a character after so long, and they have to really try hard to essentially voice match themselves, because their voice has changed, and thus it's a little bit difficult to get that character voice back to where it was before, because, you know, you can't just have a character suddenly sound extremely different. So I can really comment on Shizuo, like I said, but I'm sure it'll sound perfectly fine. I mean, in the trailer, Crispin Freeman's Shizuo doesn't sound that different from his regular voice, so I'm sure it'll be fine. The Oyahara sisters, I don't know who's playing them. I didn't go into researching. I just used the names that I already knew about. They sounded fine. Once again, they didn't speak too much. It was really funny when one of them used the habanero spray and the other one. But once again, I thought what I did see was perfectly okay. I don't know how I felt about Vic Mignogna playing Shizuo's little brother. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but it felt a little awkward, and there were a couple things that felt a little awkward, looking at this from a merely subjective point of view. I don't know, I guess it's when I heard him in the Japanese version, and he might have played, I think he appeared in the first Durarara as well, but I don't remember at all, so I'm looking at this with a very, very fresh set of eyes and ears, specifically ears, because you don't watch a voice, but whatever. So I don't know, it felt kind of awkward. It really did. I can't explain why. It just didn't seem... I'm not saying that it didn't fit, but I'm not saying that it was as good of a fit either as some of the other choices I think that were available. You know, like I mentioned, like, I think Johnny Young Bosch is a good fit for Izaya. I don't know. It's something I have to hear more of him. Like I said, I do believe he was in the first anime, and I just don't remember back then, or maybe I didn't pay enough attention back then. So yeah, it felt just a little strange. Just on the same topic, Yuri Lowenthal's performance as oh my gosh, his name is suddenly escaping me. the scientist who's Celti's boyfriend. I don't know why I completely just forgot what his name is. I'll remember it at some point. But yeah, I thought he was really, really good in the first one, and I think he's still good now, but it sounded a little off to me as well, just a little bit, I think just because I haven't heard it in so long. So, yeah, I'm not, once again, it's one of those things, he didn't do a whole lot in the first episode, so I'm sure it'll be fine. Yuri Lowenthal's actually one of my favorite voice actors, so I have faith that it'll be perfectly fine in the end. And then lastly, Mikado Ryugamine, the main character, essentially the main character of the show. I mean, it's told via his point of view, sort of. I don't know. The show doesn't really have a main character, but he sounded a little strange to me at first too. What's funny is when I first heard him in the Japanese version, I thought he sounded really strange, and now that I'm hearing him again in English, he sounds a little strange. So it's like, I don't know. I haven't found that point, but I'm sure like it got better as the episode went on. I guess it was just that first impression because I wrote down things as they went. So, but it was not that big of a deal. In case you're wondering, they kept all of the other anime references that were in the first episode by that group of kind of nerdy people. I don't know their names because the show is I'm really bad at remembering character names unless I really like them, and so yeah. And I do like these characters. Durarara has a lot of characters to remember to begin with, so. But yeah, they reference Sword Art Online, Black Bullet, a certain magical index. All of those references were kept in case you were concerned that may or may not happen. So it is, and if you like that sort of thing, I like funny references like that. So I was happy to see them kept in the English dub dialogue. And all four of them sounded just as good as they did in the past. So I have absolutely nothing to say about that other than they sounded fine. And I think last but not least, because the first episode of DRRR2 is very sporadic, for lack of a better word. It doesn't really give you a good taste of anything. It kind of just gives you a little taste of a bunch of things. So it's kind of hard to really say anything about it because not a whole lot happened. And there's not a whole lot to look at because there's just so many little pieces that you have to eventually put together. So with that being said, but lastly I wanted to talk about Celti because Celti is a pretty important character. Kari Walgreen played Celti in the past, and I think she's done just as well as Celti now. I had no problems with her, nothing at all, so I thought it sounded just fine. All of the acting in general was pretty good. It's really weird because there's not a whole lot I can say because it felt fine for the most part, with the exception of things feeling a little bit strange, mostly probably because it felt different, which there's nothing wrong with different. There's a difference between if something's bad and something's different. Those are not very much not the same, and I feel like a lot of people have a hard time differentiating between the two. But yeah, it's fine. That's like the biggest way I could sum it down is it sounds fine. So if you want to watch DRRR2 in English, I say go ahead and do it. I'm gonna finish what I've seen in Japanese. I'll probably still watch episodes in English as well, but I thought what they had presented in the first episode was at least a solid foundation, and I'm interested to see where things go from there, and how the series progresses as a whole, because DRRRR is one of those shows I feel like that really never gets extremely good until it's over or until near the end when all of the pieces start to all put themselves together because of the way the show is formatted. So I think it'll be really interesting just to see how everything comes together in the end. So with that, if you guys have watched the episode or the premiere of the DRRR2 English dub, please let me know what you think on it. If you haven't, it's available on Hulu and Crunchyroll, so go ahead and check that out. I enjoyed it, so let me know what you guys think about it, and with that, I will catch you guys next time.